This is our lesson for Chapter 11, Lesson 1. It's called Graphing Linear Equations. Let's start with some vocab. First vocab is the word linear equation. And a linear equation is an equation that graphs a straight line. I want you to also make sure you write this equation down. This is the slope-intercept form of a linear equation. This is what we will be working with most often in 7th grade. So, x and y are always going to be variables for us. They're going to be the variables x and y. They represent the x and y axes on the coordinate plane and graphing points using the x coordinate and y coordinate. So you shouldn't be surprised to see those in this equation. The m and the b will not look like m and b in most equations. They're going to be numbers, and each number has its own purpose. The first number we want to talk about is the m number, and that number is called the slope. The slope is the steepness of a line. We calculate it using the formula delta y over delta x, and we often refer to slope as rise over run. This is all a review from Chapter 1 right here. So let's review slope really quickly. When I think about slope, I think about a set of stairs. And typical stairs, the ones you walk up every single day here at school, rise 1, run 1. Rise 1, run 1. Rise 1, run 1. Rise 1, run 1. So this would represent a slope of 1, which can also be represented as a slope of, 1 over 1, telling us to rise 1, run 1. Let's say we made some changes and we took out the old stairs and we put in some new stairs that look like this. Hopefully you notice these are much steeper stairs. These stairs rise 2 to run 1. Rise 2 to run 1. Rise 2 to run 1. These represent a slope of 2, or 2 over 1, telling us that we are rising 2 and running 1. Let's say we get a totally different set of stairs here. We can look at these green stairs. We can see that they're a lot more gradual, less steep. These stairs rise 1 and run 2. Rise 1, run 2. Rise 1, run 2. So these stairs actually represent a slope of 1/2. Rise 1, run 2. Of course, when you see lines, they're not going to be boxy like this. They're not going to look like stairs. They're going to be more smoothed out in a straight line like that. The stairs just help us to think of the motion that has to happen to get from one point to the next. So that is the deal with slope. Now, slope can look in a lot of different ways. If this m number is a positive number, we say the line has a positive slope. A positive slope starts, if we read a line like we read a sentence, we start on the left and we go to the right. And when we read a line with a positive slope, our line points up when we go from left to right. So start at the left, travel to the right. We can see that my mouse is moving up. That's a positive slope. If that m number is a negative number, we call that a negative slope. Again, lines are read from left to right, so a line with a negative slope travels down when you go from the left to the right. If that m number is a 0, we call that a 0 slope. 0 slope is horizontal. It is parallel to the x-axis. So think about the floor or the top of a table or a countertop. Flat, nothing's going to roll off of it, that's a 0 slope. The fourth kind of slope is called an undefined slope. We'll talk more about these a little bit later. An undefined slope is a vertical line parallel to the y-axis. So that's a little bit about slope here. I've got a visual to help you remember your slopes. You may want to sketch Mr. Slopeface in your notes. The plus sign here is showing us this positive sloped line. The minus sign here shows us this negative sloped line. The U represents an undefined slope. We have our vertical line there. And the 0 shows us our 0 slope. It's a horizontal line. So it's a little creepy, but it does help us to remember our 4 basic types of slope. The next piece of the equation that we want to talk about is the b. B is called the y-intercept. And this is the point where the line crosses the y-axis. So here I have two lines. I'm going to look at the blue line first. My blue line crosses the y-axis right here. And I can figure out the coordinates for that point. I start at the origin. I walk 0. So that gives me a 0 coordinate first. And then I jump 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I jump positive 5 to get up to my y-intercept. The y number here is my y-intercept number, so that tells me that if in this equation, the b would be a positive 5. Comes directly from my y-coordinate. Let's take a look at the red line. The red line, I can see that the line crosses the y-axis right here, so that's my y-intercept point. I can find the coordinates of that point by starting at the origin, walking 0, so my first coordinate is 0, and jumping down 1, down 2. So down tells me it's a negative, so the point where the line crosses the y-axis is 0, negative 2. In this equation, that tells me the b number would be negative 2, and that is my y-intercept number. That's all for our vocab lesson today. We're going to stop here. We're going to pick up a separate video, and that separate video is going to tell you how to graph a linear equation.